Are you a Ghanaian living abroad and are you having problems running errands in Ghana? Don't worry anymore. Sumafo is a mobile app that enables you to run errands in Ghana in a safe, affordable, and fast way. Our services are caring and assistance services. We'll visit your elderly relatives and connect them to needed healthcare. Errand services will buy and send groceries, birthday cakes, supplies to homes, offices, and schools. Confirmation services will provide third-party confirmation video for contractors' work, and personal representation services will represent you at functions such as funerals and marriages. Download the Smartphone app on Google and iOS stores and enjoy the convenience of running errands in Ghana at your fingertips. Smartphone, send your love home.
Welcome to Second Generation IT Group. Hello, my name is Ferdinand Samoa, Director of Second Generation IT Group. We've been in business for the past 5 years, and we have a lot of clients who have come through the school and they're doing pretty well. We offer 18 weeks of cyber course, which runs for every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And people ask, why Second Generation IT Group? Yeah, we offer different courses in cyber. Cyber is kind of big, so we offer risk management, we offer FISCOM, we offer cloud computing, we offer pen testing, and we also offer Splunk. Courses are offered virtually. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, and you can just join the course without any. It's very convenient for everybody. You can reach us on our social media. You can reach us on Facebook, you can reach us on Instagram, and you can also reach us on our website, which is Second Generation IT Group LLC.com, the company that provides beyond excellence.
All right, guys, I welcome you live on SBTV Africa. My name is DJ Nyami once again, and today it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It's 5:30 exactly, and I have Lawyer Wisdom Akaho Wiseman Solicitors in UK, London, close to Dawson Market. Today I have him live online. You know, every Friday we are Charlie. Your men come. So today, let me go straight without wasting my time. Lawyer, I welcome you live on SBTV Africa. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
Great. How is everybody in UK?
Charlie, UK
How
is
is UK
cool.
doing?
Everyone is good. We are very well. I hope you're doing good too.
You have new PM, eh?
Yeah. Sorry again?
You have new PM, right?
Yeah, we have a new PM. I mean, we have a king and we have a new prime minister. So things are stabilizing a bit now.
Oh, okay. You said today's topic: how to get your stay if your relationship breaks down after arriving in the UK, right?
That's correct.
Over to you, boss.
Thank you very much. Hello, good evening to all the listeners. I hope you've had a good week. And today, too, we are here again, as we always do. Just want to give some information and to see if it will help anyone. Maybe one or two people may benefit from this topic we're discussing today. Now, I have realized, and based on our experience of the work we do, we come into contact with a lot of people, different people, and we realize that there is a trend that goes on. Now, this is on the basis that some people come to the UK as married partners. Example, the man went outside the UK to marry to bring the woman to the UK. Or the other way around, the woman goes to bring the man to the UK. Now, the intention of these parties is always to live together as husband and wife. That is usually the intention of the parties. But life happens. Things don't always go the way you want it to be. So sometimes relationships break down. Now, if it is the woman who brought the man and the relationship is broken down, what can the man do to regularize his stay in the UK? Maybe the man sold his business or left his job or left his property and everything to come to join his wife in the UK. Or the woman also left her job or her business to come and join the husband in the UK. Now that the relationship is broken, she cannot go back because there is nothing to go back to. There is no business or employment there for her to go back to. Same way, the man who also left his business and his investments and possibly his employment came to the UK can also not go back because he thought he was going to stay here in the UK for the rest of his life or for a very long time. But life happens, like I said, the relationship is broken down. He cannot just pack his bag and go back because there is nothing to go back to. In such a case, how can they regularize their stay? Or how can then they find another way of staying in the UK if their marriage breaks down? The first one is there may be a child in the relationship. So let's use myself as an example. Assuming that I bring a woman to the UK, we have a child, and the child is a British citizen. The relationship is now broken. Because my wife and I have a child, even though the relationship is broken, she can depend on the child to apply to stay in the UK. Even though she is no longer with me, as long as we have a child and the child is a British citizen, she can apply to stay in the UK because of the child. That application will be made under paragraph Appendix FM section LTRPT. That is Appendix FM section leave to remain as a parent. Now she has to apply to switch from the parent route, from the partner route to the parent route because she is no longer a partner. She is now going to make her application on the parent route. Now, on the parent route, if she is smart enough or she gets the right advice, then she can apply another 5 years route, not another 10-year route. Some people have made these errors that instead of switching to the 5-year route as a parent, they rather apply and then they put them on the 10-year route. So they have to do two and a half, two and a half, two and a half, two and a half. That is a total of 10 years before they get their indefinite. But there is a way that they could have applied under the 5-year route, or they would have switched from the partner route to the parent route, and they would go on the 5-year route. So they get 2.5 years and another 2.5 years as a parent, then they go for their indefinite leave to remain. So that is option one. If there is a child in the relationship, I will say it again, if there is a child in the relationship and the relationship is broken down, the father or the mother can apply based on the child. Now, normally, the children live with their mothers. So the children normally reside with their moms. Now, if for any reason the child is living with the father, or this is the man, the woman is the British citizen, or she has the indefinite leave to remain, and the man came to join her, and the relationship is broken down, she now has a child. The man can also apply based on the fact that he has a child with this woman. In some cases, or on some occasions, the mother may not want the man to see the child because she knows that if he sees the child, he can use that to regularize his stay. So if the woman does not want the man to see the child, it's not the end of the world. There is something we call child arrangement. The man can take the woman to court. That look, if I have a problem with you, I don't have a problem with my child. I want to see my child. And once the court makes an order that the father has to see the child, direct contact, the father can depend on that child to regularize his stay in the UK as well. So it's not only the women that can regularize their stay based on the child. The father can also regularize their stay based on the child, even if the child is living with the mother and the woman does not want the man to have access to the child. That can be fought in court, and that is what we call child arrangement order. The man can get a child arrangement order, and once he has direct access to his child, he is able to apply to remain in the UK based on this child who is a British citizen. So that is option one for parents who are in the UK, or a partner who joins the other partner in the UK, and the relationship breaks down. You can use that. Option two, if there is no child, if there is no child in the relationship, then what options are available under that second option I've just mentioned? If it is the man who came to the UK and there is no child and there is a divorce, if the relationship breaks down and there is a divorce, and this man marries another woman who has a child, then he becomes the stepfather to that child or to those children. He takes them to school, he's involved in their medical life. Once that evidence is there to show that yes, the relationship is broken, he's married somebody else before his visa expires, he is able to make an application based on his new partner, and on that basis, he is able to get his stay as well. He does not have to wait until his visa expires or until his leave expires before he makes the application. It means that he is able to apply based on the fact that he is in a new relationship. And that new relationship, there is a child involved. Or even if there is no child involved, the fact that his leave has not expired and he's married to somebody who has leave to be in the UK as a British citizen or somebody who has indefinite leave to remain, on that basis, to he is able to switch to remain in that case based on the partner who has a child, or even if there is no child, the fact that he applies before his leave expires, he can stay in the UK. So that is also another option for you. Now, assuming that the man marries another person and they still don't have a child, like I said, as long as his visa is still valid, he can switch to that route. So that is also another option for you. Also, that application will be made under Appendix FM, Section LTRP as a partner, or under Appendix FM, Section LTRPT, that is as a parent. When you hear PT, it is parent. If you hear P, it is partner. So, Appendix FM Section LTRP, partner, or Appendix FM Section LTRPT, parent. That is based on the child. If the woman doesn't want you to see the child, take it to court. You have direct access to your child. You can make your application to remain in the UK based on your child. So that is an option for you to be in the UK. Now, if the woman is not British and she doesn't have indefinite leave to remain, but she has 2.5 years limited leave to remain, and she has a child that is a British citizen, you are still able to apply based on your stepchild that is a British citizen, not your child. The woman is not British. She's not having indefinite. She has 2.5 years. You can still apply based on the woman who has 2.5 years, but has a child that is a British citizen. And on that basis, you can get your leave to remain in the UK. Maybe the 5 year route or the 10-year route. Ultimately, you get your indefinite leave to remain in the UK. So that is also another option. Or if the man himself had a child, you have a child with somebody else before your relationship breaks down, or after a relationship is broken down, you have a child, it is also possible to apply based on your child if your child is a British citizen or your child or the mother of the child has 2.5 years. In that case, you can apply based on the fact that you have a child that has 2.5 years, and that application will be made under the Article 8 outside of the immigration rules. That is also possible. So I've looked at the cases or the instances where relationship is broken, there is a child involved. You can have access to your child. Or there is no child involved and you marry somebody else, then you can apply quickly before your visa expires. And if the woman has a child, that is an added bonus for you because you can still apply based on your stepchild who is a British citizen or who is 7 years old or who has limited leave to remain in the UK. So these are the options that you have based on child or on a partner. If your relationship with the partner with whom you came breaks down, you can switch quickly. There is another option, which is the health and care or the tier 2 skilled worker route. Now, if you came to the UK as a partner and the relationship is broken down, it is also possible that you can obtain or you can get an employer who is licensed, who has the sponsorship license issued by the Home Office. Now, once they have the sponsorship license, you are able to switch from the partner route to the skilled worker route. And on that route, you can also get 3 years. After the 3 years, you get 2 years, a total of 5 years. After that, you are able to get your indefinite leave to remain in the UK. So you can switch to the health and care worker route or worker route, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Or you get another sponsor that may not be in the health and care sector. It can be the IT, it can be the hospitality section, it can be any other sector. Once they have the license to employ and they issue you the COS, you will be able to apply to remain in the UK on that basis as a person who is able to remain because you are sponsored by a tier 2 worker or somebody who has a license to employ you in the UK. So that option is also there. Now they have to issue you something we call the COS, Certificate of Sponsorship. Now the Certificate of Sponsorship has to detail your name, date of birth, your the job description, where you'll be working, the salary level, and that it has to also say the certificate number, the employer's details, and everything. Now, on that basis, you are able to use that to apply for work in the UK to work with that sponsor, not with another sponsor. If you want to move from that sponsor to another sponsor, you have to obtain a new COS from the new sponsor before you can move to another, before you can move to that new sponsor. So yes, if the relationship breaks down, you are able to switch to another category, the tier 2 sector as a health worker or as a skilled worker in any other category I have mentioned. It can be in the hospitality industry, it can be in the health sector, it can be in the IT sector, across board as long as they have the license to employ a person in that sector, you are able to switch to that section as well before your visa or your leave expires. The key thing is it has to be done before the leave expires. Now, if your leave expires, you put yourself in a very, very difficult situation. So always ensure that it is done before your visa expires. Now, another section or category that you can switch to for EU nationals, in fact, I'll look at the EU nationals separately. Let me finish with the people who are married to British citizens or people with indefinite leave to remain. When I finish, then I'll look at the EUSS, that is people under the EU route as well. Another category you can switch to is if you can show that you married, you came to the UK to join your spouse. Unfortunately, the relationship is broken down because of domestic abuse or domestic violence. If you can show that, then you have the chance to apply to stay in the UK based on domestic abuse. In fact, in that sector, you can even go straight for indefinite leave to remain. If you can show that the relationship broke down because of domestic abuse, not that the relationship broke down before you want to show that there was a domestic abuse. No, 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 no. You have to show that the relationship broke down because of domestic violence or domestic abuse. Now, when we talk about domestic abuse, it's a wide range of it has a wide range of description. And now it's not only that your man or your woman is physically assaulting you. Now, domestic abuse covers physical abuse, that is physical or social, physical or I'm sorry, sexual. Maybe the man uses his hands on you, or the woman uses her hands on you, or they use any object to batter you or to uh, hit you. That is physical abuse. If that is the case, you need to provide documentary evidence to show that this is what went on, or this was what went on. This is what was going on, which led to the breakdown in the relationship. How do you show that there was a domestic abuse, physical abuse? If there was a physical touch, you would have to have your report from your doctors, your GP. You have to report it. You are treated. You have evidence that you reported this violence against you. Maybe you got some scratches here and there. You can use all of that as an evidence. Maybe once, twice, three times, four times, or more. Sometimes we say, oh, it doesn't matter. He is going to change. It doesn't matter. She's going to change. It doesn't matter. He may change. Before you realize, it keeps continuing, continuing, continuing. If you are not careful, you will be dead before he changes. You'll be dead before she changes. In that case, the papers of no use to you anymore. Your leave to be in the UK is of no use if you are dead. So, if you're a victim of domestic abuse, you must have the evidence to show that this is what went on, which led to the breakdown in the relationship. Which led to the breakdown in the relationship. So, physical abuse. If there is domestic violence, physical abuse, beating, etc., etc., please report it to the police. Report it to the police. Have evidence. If there is no evidence, you cannot rely on domestic abuse to regularize your stay. So let the police be aware that this is what is going on. Let them have records. Day one, day four, day seven, day eight. Let them have all this evidence to support the fact that you've been a victim of domestic abuse. That is the only time that you can rely on that evidence. If you do not have the evidence, I'm sorry, there's not very much anybody can do to help you. There was this occasion that I dealt with a case, very unique case. She was married to um, a military man. She was married to this soldier. She's not from our country. She's from one of these African countries. And the soldier was also from that same country. He married her, brought her here, and then she became his punching bag. I mean, he wakes up in the morning, is abused, kicking, hitting, every kind of thing. She reported to the police over and over, went to the hospital, went to the GP for treatment. So when that relationship broke down, straight away we went for indefinite leave to remain for her. So that is only because there was evidence to support the fact that the relationship broke down because of the domestic abuse. Another type of domestic abuse is sexual. There can be sexual abuse. Sexual abuse, domestic abuse can be sexual. Now, that can be in all forms of sexual interrelationships. There is this occasion where this gentleman only wants to sleep with his wife not the natural way, but through another means. He also wants to, that is the way he wants to do it. Sometimes he wants to use sex toys on the woman, and the woman says, no, I am not brought up that way. And that created a lot of tension in the house and created problems, which resulted in all kinds of uh, problems. Ultimately, the relationship broke down based on the evidence that the woman was able to produce from the GP, from the police, and from other support agents. We were able to get her leave for her as well. So it can also be sexual. It can also be sexual. Another means of proving domestic abuse for you to regularize your stay when the relationship breaks down or as a result of the relationship breaking down is if there is violent or threatening behaviors. Violent or threatening behaviors. Now, the man is always threatening, if you don't behave, I will call the home office. I will cancel your papers. If you don't behave, I will send you back to your country. Now, with that, it's a threatening behavior. You can't do that. You can't do that. If that continues, you must also ensure that you have records of this. Some people, what they do is they bring in other people to try to resolve the differences, and those people become the witnesses in future for you to prove that truly you were a victim of this threatening behavior. So you can use that also. It can be violent or threatening behavior to support the fact that your relationship broke down because of domestic abuse. Another sort of abuse is controlling and coercive behavior. Now, when we talk about controlling and coercive behavior, what it means is this: the man goes out, the woman is calling every hour. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? Controlling behavior. Your every moment of your life is being monitored. That is a controlling behavior. You are in the house, you are being supervised as though you are at work. Controlling behavior. Everything you have to do, you need permission before you do. That is controlling behavior. Now, when that goes on and on, it is termed or it is classified as domestic abuse. In that case, if you have evidence of that, you have documentation to that effect, you can use that also to prove that you've been a victim of domestic abuse, which constituted or which included coercive behavior or controlling behavior. So that is what you can also do. Another type of domestic abuse which can lead to a break in a relationship that you can use. It has to be genuine. These things don't have to be created. No, because remember, somebody's reputation is at stake. Somebody's life is also at stake. So you can't just create these things out of the blue. It has to be genuine. If it is genuine, then you can rely on this to support your application. Don't go and create this thing just because you want to get your stay. You fake it. That will not help you. You even be in trouble if you fake these things just to use for your stay. That is not right. We're talking about situations that are actual, real, and you want to rely on those. Economic abuse. Economic abuse. Now, when we talk about economic abuse, what is that? It is any behavior that affects the other party's ability to acquire, use, maintain money, or obtain property. Any behavior of the man or of the woman that affects the other party's ability to obtain money, to use money, to obtain property. Anything of that sort that affects the other party is called economic abuse. Economic abuse. So if this evidence is there, please don't just sit down and say it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. If the relationship breaks down and you have no evidence to prove it, you will not be able to regularize your stay in this country. If you report to the police, make sure you have the records to support your application. If you report to the GP, make sure you have the evidence to support your application. There is an organization called Black Sisters, that support women who are going through domestic abuse. There is also another organization called Respect for men who are going through domestic abuse. Men also go through domestic abuse, but sometimes the men are slow to report the fact that they've been victims of domestic abuse. Sometimes because of ego, the man feels that I don't want to say that I'm a victim of domestic abuse. It will sound as if I am weak or so. Don't sit there and be a victim of domestic abuse and die. If you are a victim and your relationship breaks down because of domestic abuse, you can get your stay regularized. You can get your indefinite leave straight away based on the fact that your relationship broke down as a result of domestic violence. Psychological abuse. Psychological. The man hasn't touched you, the woman hasn't touched you, but psychologically, by virtue of the way they behave, the things they do, is having a psychological effect on you. You can't think properly. Your life is in a mess because of the psychological effect the abuse is having on you. Sometimes the woman can say certain things that would pierce through your heart. It is a psychological abuse, emotional abuse. That is all part of domestic abuse. Psychological abuse is also there. So, emotional abuse is also there. But you must have proof to support the fact that the relationship broke down because of the domestic violence. That is the only time that you can rely on the domestic abuse to get your indefinite leave to remain or to get an extension in your leave to be in the UK. No evidence, no case. You can't support it, you can't prove it, you can't have a chance of staying in the UK. So that has to do with domestic abuse causing a breakdown in the relationship, and based on that, you can apply for your leave to remain in the UK. Now, looking at the EU nationals, if you are an EU national or you marry an EU national and you came to the UK with an application which is entry clearance to the UK as a partner, that is a family member of an EU national, appendix EU application was made under appendix EU, and you came to the UK on the basis that you are married to an EU national, and on that basis as well, you are here. You've been granted 5 years EU settlements, EU pre-settled status. I'm sorry, you've been given 5 years pre-settled status or limited leave to remain. Now, if the relationship breaks down with the EU nationals, You have to prove that, number one, your marriage has lasted for at least 3 years before the relationship broke down. 3 years before the relationship broke down. How do you know 3 years? I'm not talking about 3 years in the UK. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying 3 years of marriage. So you look on your marriage certificate and look at the date of the marriage and ask yourself, when did this marriage start? Calculate 3 years to, from that date. 3 years from that date. If it is 3 years, it has to be 3 years before you can start a divorce proceeding. If it is not 3 years and the relationship breaks down, and again you can't provide any proof of domestic abuse, etc., etc., then you would have difficulty extending your leave to be in the UK. If it is 3 years and the relationship breaks down, then you have to prove that you've lived in the UK for at least 1 year with the EU national, at least 1 year in the UK with the EU national before the relationship broke down. And then you have been in the UK from the date of the divorce, you've been in the UK continuously for the 5 years. So assuming you came to the UK 2 years or 3 years and then relationship broke down, the divorce starts. After that, you have lived in the UK for 2 more years in addition to the 3 years, then you can get your indefinite leave to remain in the UK because you have retained the right of residence based on the fact that you have been in the UK for that period. Now, if that happens, you then be able to regularize your stay in the UK. So these are some of the ways that you can stay in the UK. Another aspect that you can stay in the UK, this is not domestic violence. It is not that the relationship is broken per se, but assuming that unfortunately one of the parties passes away. If the man passes away or the woman passes away, how can you get your stay? Or the man has died or the woman has died. How can you get your stay in the UK? Now, this application will also be made under Appendix DV, Appendix FM section, that is DV, set DV, domestic, I'm sorry, bereaved partner. It will be, I'm sorry, not DV. DV is domestic violence, but I'm talking about indefinite leave to remain as a bereaved partner. My apologies. The laws are too many, so sometimes it makes them up. DV is domestic violence. Indefinite leave to remain as a bereaved partner is also different. That is where your partner has died, you are able to get your indefinite leave straight away without having to do two and a half, two and a half, two and a half. But that is not to say you can create a sin leading to that. It has to be genuinely proved. It has to be genuinely proved. Don't kill anybody because you want your indefinitely to remain. Please, that is just by the way, but don't do anything because you are desperate to get your stay. You do all kinds of things. No, no, no. That is not right. You would end up in prison if you cause anybody's death. But if your partner passes away and there's the evidence to show that, you'll be able to rely on that to support your application. What do you have to use to prove? One, that you are still married at the time of the death, that you intended to live together as husband and wife until the partner passed away. You have to prove a death certificate. You also have to provide proof of address of living together at the time of the death. Now, if you can provide these documents, then you can apply for indefinite leave to remain as a bereaved partner. You do not have to wait for your leave to expire. If your visa is still valid, assuming you came to the UK for even 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, and the unfortunate happens, your partner passes away, you are still able to apply for indefinite leave to remain straight away. So, generally, these are some of the means that you can use to regularize your stay. I've talked about bereaved partner. If your partner dies, you can get your indefinite leave to remain if the requirements are met. I've talked about domestic abuse. If there is evidence, you can use that to prove that your relationship broke down due to domestic abuse. I've talked about evidence that you need to use to prove domestic abuse, your GP records, your GP letters, letters from black sisters, letters from the police, letters from friends and family who can even testify that, of course, you were truly a victim of domestic abuse. And I've also mentioned about domestic abuse, which can be psychological, it can be physical, it can be sexual, it can be controlling or coercive behavior, it can be economic abuse, or it can be emotional abuse. All this constitute something we call domestic abuse. So if you have this evidence, you can use that as well. Then I also talked about switching. Either you can switch to the student route as a partner, quickly you switch to the student route. If the relationship is broken, you get a student visa. The student issues you certificate of sponsorship or application. Yeah, you use that to cast letter, confirmation of acceptance letter. You can switch to become a student. That is also possible. Or a partner of another person, that is also possible. Or if you have a child, you can switch to your child. Or if you marry somebody else genuinely, all that I'm talking has to be genuine relationship. It's not fake or sham relationships because you want to remain in the UK. It has to be genuine because the Home Office may want to test to see the genuineness of the relationship before they make a decision. So please, whatever you use to provide to support your application, whatever you provide to support your application has to be genuine. And the relationship and everything you rely on all have to be genuine. So, DJ, I would leave it here. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy to respond to your questions in this aspect or in any other related areas. I'll be more than happy to respond to
Nice
your
one, Lawyer
questions.
Wisdom Akao. Thank you so much. Lovely submission. Yes, I have some questions for you here. For those who have any question, if you want to ask him any question, you can just drop it in the comment section, or you can send us via voice note to our WhatsApp number on the screen now: 0+233 244 +233 240 677 898. You can send a voice note. If you can't type, just send a voice note. But if you can type, comment section, any question that you want to ask him, he will answer you. Don't forget Lawyer Wisdom Macao. It's a solicitor from Smart Solicitors. They are based in UK, London, just close to Dalston Market, behind the McDonald's or close to the McDonald's. Now I'm getting the directions small, small. So if you have any case, anything that you want him to help you, contact him. Number is on the screen. Just send him WhatsApp or you can call him. Let me go straight to the what I have here. Hey, somebody says you're looking fresh, your lawyer. Emmanuel Amwa.
Thank
Let's see.
you.
Let's see. Fun. He says that. Let's see. He says that. Please, lawyer.
Can I go back to Ghana and marry with your 5 year sponsor visa? Right. He wants to know if he can go back to Ghana and marry. He said marry, but marry if he has a 5 year sponsor visa. Now, if you are with a sponsorship visa, a tier two, if you have a tier two visa, and you are on maybe a health and care worker, or you are a skilled worker in another section, of course, if you have the 5 years visa, you can marry and then you apply for your partner to come as a dependent of a skilled worker. That is also possible. But if you are here as a partner already, you cannot marry somebody else. So if you're here as a partner, then you can. But if you're here with a skilled work visa, of course, once you marry, you can apply for your partner to also join you in the UK. So that is possible. Then we have Mr. Ntiamwa Kofi. So how long does it take for someone to divorce someone to remarry? Full stop. The person is just 2 months in the UK. Uh, how long does it take to divorce someone and then to marry? Now, You can always marry if you are free to do so. You can always marry if you are free to do so. Now, to be free to marry, now when we say to be free, what it means is you are either divorced. Now, if you are divorced, first of all, you've never been married. That is it, you are free to marry. Secondly, you were married and you are divorced. Now, if you marry today and you divorce after a year or two or three, the very day that you divorce, you can marry another person that day, or you can marry the following day. If you divorce in the morning, you are free in the morning. In the evening, you can marry another person. There is no timeline which says that when you divorce, you have to wait for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years before you marry. There is no such law. As long as you are free to marry, you are free to marry. That is the answer to the question. He said the person was only 2 months in the UK or 3 months in the UK. It doesn't really matter as long as the relationship is genuine. You can do that. I'll give you an example of a case that I dealt with recently. This man and the woman knew each other. They were talking over the phone, they were doing WhatsApp, they were doing messages. They met online. So they started communicating for a very, very long, in fact, they communicated for about 2 years before, and then the relationship actually started before they met the first time. So once they met, straight away the relationship, you know, naturally kicked off more. They got married and the man got his stay. It is possible to meet somebody the first time, but you have to prove that the relationship was existing before your first before the marriage. You can't meet somebody today and get married tomorrow. That will not work. Or meet somebody today, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, you say you get married. That would not normally be very, very persuasive. Whatever you do has to be persuasive. Put yourself in the position of the person who is going to make the decision and ask yourself, if I meet somebody 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, and I said, we love each other, we want to marry, how would you view it? So sometimes let's be fair to the caseworkers and look at the cases from our perspective, and then that will help us. The next one is when you are living in the UK legally and you marry someone from Ghana without having child with her, will she get document when she comes? Now, if you are here in the UK legally, I want to know legally what it means. Now, legally means you are here in accordance with the law. It can be 2.5 years. It can be as a student. It can be as a tier two worker. It can be somebody who has indefinite leave to remain. It can be somebody who has a British passport. It can be somebody who is an EU national who has 5 years to be here, or somebody who is an EU national who has settled status. I need to know the category you're talking about. If you're a student, you can bring your partner. If you're a skilled worker, you can bring your partner. If you have 2.5 years, you cannot bring anybody as a partner. You can marry, but you cannot bring them to the UK until you get your indefinite leave to remain in the UK. Emmanuel Amor again says, please, do you need some amount of money in your account before entering the UK after getting 5 years sponsor visa? Sponsor visa, let's be clear. Is it sponsor visa as a spouse or sponsor visa as a tier two worker? I need to know. Now, if it is a tier two worker, you don't necessarily need any money in your account. Once you are issued a COS, that means that you meet the requirements, you can apply to come to the UK. Sometimes the employers may want you to have some money in your account, maybe 800 pounds, 1,000, 200, 300, 1,500 or so. Just maybe because the very first month they may not be able to process your pay, staff, and every stuff. So you have some money to live on whilst they are processing all of that. So that is just maybe an emergency fund for you. But there is no strict requirement that you must have some money in the account. It all depends on the situation. Mr. Kume Kwabna Emmanuel, that's great. How do you switch from student visa to working visa? That is pretty simple. Now, if you have a student visa and you finish the course, you finish the course successfully, and the university confirms that you finished the first degree or the master's, you can apply for the graduate visa. Graduate visa, they'll give you 2 years to work. In that case, whether you have employment, you have a job or not, it does not matter. You don't need to have a job before you apply on the graduate route. You don't need to have a job before you apply on the graduate route. It is open to all persons who have completed their course successfully, either your first degree or your master's. If it's a PhD, they give you 3 years. If it is master's or first degree, they give you 2 years. So it is possible. Now, if you don't want to go that route, then you may, if there is a genuine relationship, switch to the spouse route. You can work for as many hours as you like. Or you switch to the tier route, tier 2, as I've mentioned already, skilled labor. You can also switch to that route, provided the employer has the sponsorship license. You are able to do that. If the employer has a sponsorship license, then you'll be able to switch to that route as well. So yes, it is possible to switch from the student route to that route as well.
Kumi Kwabena Emmanuel, thank you so much. That message came from Facebook. We are streaming on Facebook too. Normally I do it only on YouTube, but I share this one on Facebook too as well. So those watching us on Facebook, remember that every Fridays, 5:30, Royal Wisdom Macau is live on SBTV Africa on YouTube. But today I just shared to Facebook. So you can join us on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Drop your questions, any question that you want to ask him. You can just drop it, to answer you. Let's go next.
Thank you. The next one is from Miss Lydia Boama. If my partner, who happens to hold a British passport, marries me in Ghana and I am granted a visa to move to the UK with him, how long until I receive permanent residency? The answer is 5 years. You have to come, they'll normally give you 3 months in your passport. With that 3 months, when you enter the UK, you go for your card, which is for 2.5 years. After the 2.5 years, they give you another 2.5 years, a total of 5 years. After the 5 years, you go for your indefinite leave to remain. As soon as you get your indefinite leave to remain, you are able to apply for your British citizenship. Let me say it again. If you get your indefinite leave today, your indefinite leave to remain today, you can apply for your British citizenship today because you are married to a British citizen. If the person is not a British citizen, but they have indefinite leave to remain, then you have to wait for 1 more year after your indefinite leave to remain before you can apply for your British citizenship. So that is the difference. If the man is a British citizen, you get your indefinite today, straight away you apply for your British citizenship today. If the man is not British, you get your indefinite leave today, wait for 1 more year before you can apply for your indefinite leave, before you can apply for your British citizenship.
Okay. Next question. So you can still send your question comment section. Just type it there, or if you can't type, just send voice notes. Simple as that. Send voice note to the number on the screen +233 240 Just send a short voice note. I'll play it after comment section. After the comments, I'll start playing your voice note so you can send it. Let's go straight to Intiamwa Kofi.
Mr. Ntiamwa Kofi, thank you for the message again. Now, his question is, if you are with your girlfriend and her uncle allows someone to marry her on now, I mean, this is not a question I would want to readily answer. Someone marry her on documents. How long does it take to divorce the person who? So it means the marriage is not genuine. It means the relationship is not genuine. I would not respond to a question that says from the very beginning that the relationship is not genuine. I will not respond to that question. Thank you very much, sir. If you can
Okay.
If you can rephrase your question and come back, I'll be more than happy to respond to it.
Okay, let me play a voice note. Let's hear what.
So I have a question to ask lawyer, please. If you're living with your girlfriend, you are not married yet, and someone came to marry the uncle, like the uncle came to marry the girl on papers. So how long does it take for them to divorce so that you living with her, she can come and marry you and take you to the UK? How long does it take to divorce the person that she marries on paper? How long does it take, please? Thank you.
Okay, lawyer,
It,
did you start?
I had the question. It's the same question that was sent in the message that I refused to answer because the reason I'm not going to answer it is that he is
Oh, it's the
telling
same thing that Intiama sent.
yes, he is telling
Oh,
us, he is telling you and I that the relationship is not genuine. He said
and if
it
it's
is
not
on the
genuine,
papers. He said it's on the, he came to marry her on the paper. That is an indication that it is not a genuine relationship.
oh,
I don't want to tread into that terrain. If he can rephrase his question properly, maybe I'll just put it this way. There have been occasions where this man and the woman, they even had children in Ghana and another occasion in Nigeria. The relationship broke down. The relationship broke down. They were not married. The man and the woman had children in Nigeria. The relationship broke down. Somebody else came to marry that girl, that lady, and brought her to the UK. After some number of years here, the woman got her indefinite and ultimately she got her citizenship. The relationship between them broke down. But because they have a child or they have children back home, the woman went home and the children were living with their father. Because of that, one thing led to another. They had a revival of their relationship. And then the families came in and said, can you please patch up your differences for the sake of these children? The woman went back and remarried and married this man, and then ultimately brought him to the UK. That is a very different scenario because she was in a relationship, it broke down, somebody married her, brought her here, she got a settlement. This relationship broke down, and then she went back, got married to the other person with whom she had children. That is a different scenario. But when you tell us that it was on the papers, which means it's not a genuine relationship, I don't really want to get into that terrain. So please rephrase your question and come back. I'll be more than happy to answer it for you.
lawyer says rephrase your question. And come back. Okay, let's go to the next question.
Salome Coy, good evening. Good evening. I am married to an EU member and have 5 years residence, which I am due for permanent leave to remain next year. How long do I apply for British passports, please? Thank you. It all depends. When you can apply for your British citizenship, all depends. First of all, if you came to the UK legally, you came to the UK with maybe as a student or you came as a spouse to the UK and you never overstayed your visa, you never overstayed your leave. In that case, once you get your indefinite, you have to wait for 1 more year and then you can apply for your British citizenship. But if you came to the UK, your visa expired after some years before you met the EU national, and then you married. You've been given 5 years. Now that you finished, you go for your indefinite. You have to wait for a total of maybe an additional 4 years to make it 10 years before you can get your leave, your British citizenship. So it can be 10 years, that is based on the good character requirement. Good character requirement. It may be 10 years depending on whether you've been in the UK legally, or it can be 5 years if you've been in the UK legally. So it all depends. There's no one answer for this question. It depends on everybody and their circumstance. That will determine how they get their leave to be in the UK.
Okay, if let me just listen to some of the voice notes. I don't I have to listen to them first because lawyer wait to just okay. So let's go.
Lawyer. Good evening. Good evening, lawyer.
Good
Good
evening.
evening. Please, I have a friend in Scotland. They came from Italy and they have got a resident permit for 2 years. They tried to bring his wife to the UK, but they have refused him twice. So I want to ask if he can bring his wife because he said,
DJ, I can hear
Can you
you.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so you heard what he said.
Not the full thing. Just can you play it again for me? It's cut at the point, though.
It's short. It didn't end. I don't know if you
Yeah,
can
just
send.
if you can just replay that same thing for me, I'll make sense out of it.
I have a friend in Scotland.
Scotland.
They came from Italy and they have got a resident permit for 2 years. They tried to bring his wife to the UK, but they have refused him twice. So I want to ask if he can bring his wife because he's, please, lawyer, good evening. I have a friend in the UK.
Hmm.
They moved from Italy to the UK and they got a resident permit for 2 years.
Right.
And he tried to bring his wife to the UK, but they have denied him 2 times. He did it on a visit. So can he bring the wife? They deny him for 2 times, 2 consecutive times. So I don't know how he can do it to bring his wife. So please, can I have any idea
Okay.
of that?
Okay, I got you now. Now, DJ, this is very interesting. Now, the man is an EU national. He is in the UK. He has limited leave to remain. He wants to bring his wife, but he did it twice on a visit visa route. The EU law has no provision for visit visas. There is no provision for visitors under the EU law or another appendix EU. So even though he's a EU national and he's in the UK and he wants the wife to come and visit, they will use the UK law, Appendix V, to decide the application. If he cannot prove that the woman will go back, or if the woman cannot prove that she will go back, the application will be refused. That is why it was refused twice. If he was applying for her to enter the UK under the family permit, that is a different route altogether. That will be granted if the requirements are satisfied. But the visit visa, she will not be granted if she cannot prove that she will go back. It's better if she intends to stay in the UK, it's better that she stays, she comes as a partner of an EU national rather than coming as a visitor. The visit visa will be refused. We do this all the time, but once you get the information and all the required documents, we will then be able to submit the application on the person's behalf to come to the UK. Visit?
So
No.
DJ nyame mekyia wo bebree mehwɛ wo direct ɛna mepɛ sɛ ne nso mebisa lawyer adeɛ kakra mepɛ sɛ mebisa lawyer sɛ me mma ekura Spanish passport na mepɛ sɛ mede ɔmo ba school ɛwɔ UK a sɛ menya obi asiki admission ma ɔmo a gye sɛ menya ɔmo admit ɔmo ansa na matumi de ɔmo akɔ anaasɛ ɔmo wɔ school mu no sɛ ɔmo ma kwan na ɔmo bie school biem mɛtumi register school na mafa saa kwanya no so de me mma no akɔ anaa. Ɛfiri sɛ ha no yɛnka English nti yɛ na wɔn ade sua no sɛbi discrimination kakra wɔ kurom ha nti ya no yɛpɛ sɛ yɛ mma no yɛde wɔn kɔ hɔ sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ a wɔn ba adjust to Ghana system because UK deɛ ni so wɔn ka English.
Okay, over.
Me that's papa. I see the money class Spanish passport, but I am so on one kasa any krum ha. Ah, why pre-settled status and now settled status krum ha. I don't see, unfortunately, the Mran Savachum, you Mran Savachum, and in the event is Sir Omonia school ha, and you met me up a Krumha as students, but Ombudsman foreign student fees. So, yes, it is possible for them to get admission in universities or in school, primary, and they'll be, what do I want to say? Not primary school, but as a child student, if they are adults, they can also apply as adults in the universities or so and come, of course, but on Kaiser, they will have to pay tuition fee as a foreign student. Hey, I did on Kasa Waha, and I'm Papa Waha. Ah, Omaya registered with the Omanya pre-settled status. Now, Kameka say any application, my mom, now Omama kind of home from her. And the Uncle school, no, that is a different matter altogether. But yes, they can come as students once they have admission. They pay their fees. They can apply to come to school here in the UK.
Okay, so let's go to next from Alex Owusu.
Thank you, Mr. Alex Owusu. Good evening. I'm a EU citizen. What can I do? What can I do work in the UK after June? I don't get it. He wants to ask whether if you can work in the UK after June 2021. Yes, of course. If you're already here, of course, nothing stops you. Once you have your pre-settled status or your settled status, you can work as many hours as you like. But if you're an EU national and you are not here in the UK, then the difficulty is you would need to get a sponsor in the UK, apply to come and work in the UK. You can come as a visitor. We don't have any problems with that. But if you want to come and settle and work, then you need to get an employer who will then issue COS certificate of sponsorship to enable you come to the UK to work here.
Okay, this one is coming from Facebook. I think Charlie, they give you some shout out too.
Oh, that's my. That's where your legal problems are resolved. We have time to explain the law to you, and crucially, the team of solicitors in the office have supreme legal knowledge, which has to be corrected. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Is that your friend?
Yes, that's Mr. Paulson.
He's giving you a shout out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll be wrapping up soon. If you don't have any more questions to ask lawyer, I'll wrap up soon. But if you have more questions, you can just type it on the screen. My number is on the screen. You can send me voice note or just leave a comment section. Leave your questions there. He will answer you live. And don't forget, every Fridays he's here with me between 5:30 every Fridays till 6:37. Then we are done. So you can also call him after the show. But remember, that one there is not free. Oh. He'll be giving you all this free feel like you go and call him. That lawyer, Charlie, you said this, said this, said this. That one, you go chop on the booking now. So, what about question you have? Ask him now so that you don't have to. So Lydia is saying that your second question, Lydia Boama. Which one is your second question? Let me go back and see. I make sure I put everybody's question there.
Yeah, I
Okay,
just
let's see this one. Have you read this?
This one says there's a person who went to the UK on the study route or study route, but wasn't able to complete his education, have a chance in the UK to switch to other route. Well, I have observed that what is going. Recently, I realized that Some people, a lot of students came, or some students came with the intention, genuine intention of going to school. But once they arrived here, things changed. Maybe the uncle who is back home who wanted to pay the tuition fee, things have gone bad, the business is gone bad, the exchange rate has affected his business, and therefore things are not moving on properly. And therefore, they are not able to sponsor them. That person is not able to go back to school or continue education. The question then is, how is that person able to switch? It is possible for that person to switch to the health and care or any other of the tier two rounds if the sponsor has a, COS, if they have their license. If the sponsor, if the sponsors have the COS, they can apply for you to switch to their to become a worker in that section. Or if it is IT or any other areas, that they must have a CO, they will have the license to employ. In that case, yes, 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 you can switch to another route. Miss Lydia, with regards to your answer to my first questions, until after 5 years, when I can receive the indefinite residence, will I be able to divorce my husband? And if yes, will I still be able to apply? Return right of residence says that you have to have been married for 3 years. The marriage should last for 3 years before you start the divorce proceedings. 3 years. One, two, three. Before you start the divorce proceedings. If the marriage does not last for 3 years or has not lasted for 3 years and you divorce, you would have a lot of difficulty. In fact, it becomes almost impossible for you to apply. But if the marriage lasts for 3 years before you start the divorce, and you can prove that you have been in the UK for at least 1 year during those 3 years, and you can also prove that the EU national was in the UK before you started the divorce, and in addition to that, you can prove that yourself, you have worked from then onwards to the 5 years, then it is 3 years plus 2 years, total of 5 years. You will be able to get your indefinite leave to remain in the UK as a person who has retained their right of residence. So, yes, it is possible. It is possible provided you meet the requirements. It is possible.
Brother, why Isaac? He said, DJ, please, when are you bringing? When will you bring US lawyer? Oh, Charlie, I just finished US lawyer. No, be that. Anyway, Charlie, I just finished with the US lawyer. No, like 1 hour ago before starting with my UK lawyer. So next time, this is why I keep telling you guys to subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell because there was flyers out there with lawyer Kao and AK Poku's UK
Yeah,
to you. I decided all those things was out, and I told people, oh, I'll be live 4 p.m. So the video is still there. It's not late. You can still join about the US visa lottery and other things. She answered some few questions they asked her and all that. We did that from 4 p.m. to I think 5:20. So I've already done lawyer AK Poku. I've done twice. She has been on the show twice. Yeah. So you can cross
oh,
check it. Make sure you
that,
subscribe.
that was AK Popular, yes.
Yeah, AK Poku law. Yeah, yeah, I've done
Hey,
that already.
I spoke to her a few days ago.
Oh, nice, 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 nice. Oh, nice. Let's go to the next question. I think we have some few ones coming. Uh, okay. I have another voicemail, but can you let's answer this one, then I'll play some voice notes. Yeah.
Okay, how much should you have for 20 days tourist visa? There is no fixed amount. There is no fixed amount. But what I always say is ask yourself, how much do you have in your account? How much is the travel, the air ticket? How much are you going to spend in the UK for food, for shopping? Add all of that. See, take that money out of the amount you have in your account. See if there's anything left. It's not only that, it's not only the amount that is in your account that matters. They also want to see that you can go back after your visit. So there is no fixed amount, but you have to do the calculation and make sure you have substantial amounts of money in your account before you apply. Otherwise, it will be refused. Sika Adiedua, Sika Asiedua, I'm sorry, Sika, Sister Sika Asiedua. Please, how can someone with Emirates ID in Dubai come to the UK? If you have an Emirates ID, you want to come in Dubai, you want to come to the UK, once you are there legally, you are able to travel to the UK either as a tourist to visit the UK. So just ensure that you have sufficient proof that when you come, you will go back. So if you work in there, you can get a letter from your employer, your pay slips, your bank statements to show that there is substantial amount of money in your account. And on that basis, you have a stable job there. When you come, you will go back. If you can show that, you can come to the UK. There are occasions where people also come as students to study or to work. These are all options that you can use to come to the UK by the genuine route to the UK. It's possible. Yeah.
Okay, let me play some voice notes. We'll be wrapping up soon, but let me play some voice notes, then we can.
Now we're going so now. Kyerɛkyerɛ yɛn nneɛma bi ani so. Mepatwɔ me question ɛtɔ so mmienu no, mepɛ sɛ mebisa lawyer sɛ, yɛhanom no, Spain ha no, countries a ɛyɛ colonized Spanish foɔ no nyinaa no, sɛ ɔmo ba kurom ha a, na onya resident permit a, after 2 years no, otumi gye Spanish passport. Mepɛ sɛ mehu hwɛ sɛ UK so, Britain foɔ na ebedi yɛ so yi. Saa akwanya no wɔ hɔ ma Ghanafoɔ a ɛwɔ UK nso anaa? Meda ase bebree.
Yeah, I mean, I see 2 years I was Spain. How long? I had no. That was the case. First, before the 9th of July 2012, you know, who are we here? Who are we from here? 2 years. No one are indefinite. 2 years, one are indefinite. And after that, it's either so wait 1 more year, and you wait for 5 years. No one are British citizenship. But on the 9th of July 2012, and I am running Sisani. I had 5 years. And this is saying, no, my message to you 9th July 2012. Sada na Emrano Esusania. I don't say 5 years. And some one are indefinite. When you're indefinite, we are either so waiting for British citizenship straight away, and I'll wait 1 more year and son for British citizenship. Yenti Amuya the Sunny said, Home Office for said, Oma Shet, Oma de Omania to Hop, Oma who said, Nipa Bebre said, Omoko Wari will be back. Na after 2 years, no, that's a nipa ni indefinite pet. Na worry where you go. No, as uncle why they couldn't Casancasa and Amiran Casancasa. And teachers, I hope some teacher said, Niaudi buy first, no, and ya worry pa. A good year, no, as uncle worry in Iran Casana and Nikuna Casandiaba. And the young person said, I worry now what to say no, a ya worry pa na, a ya worry pa 5 years over to now. And ya worry pa, a big go before 5 years. In that case, there's another sit now. I share good. And no, and so na me deny edit tray, a quite bensu, na say relationship ni break it down, over to me afa, and you regularize it, was it now? And to UK, dear, 5 years. Before 9th July 2012, now 2 years. From that day, they say no, 5 years. And son of indefinite, and son of for British citizenship. DJ, would the question be too? So, my man.
Yes, before I over to you, so now, if you are not finna, I'm about joining a channel. No, me say your sister Bako. If you more harmon subscribe, you also finna the nearby SBTV Africa. So, and also subscribe to your channel now. Tap on notification bell. Send a bear anytime. You drop it. Be now when you be a share. I'll be who I'll miss it out. And remember when you boss okay na we fisa on tap it subscribe. Sir, but me say nyama because me say no. You man, oh, na me de nyama me say musa. And this one subscriber me say a lot. I many lawyer wisdom akao. You started and me videos for pa. And mo afina ma be joining no. O click subscribe no so videos mo bon say me na your topics be brave. Obia, na Ghana for na do na ya we mu tlo. And if you are a catcher, the Daniel Kuntakwan, near year way, we are not a frost, only connection man, yao. There's one your connection man. Yeah, this me kind of penalty as so man way for months, few months, I mean, in a year till now. Say me tie man way me nko use connection man bia metimi aye ma de aba UK aye bibia me
Yes.
pesa fi Ghana metimi aba o me here obia but yempe ye be ko dede nko dede bi ne ya ne e ko we ni obi ku anka ba na ye kra be 5 million views at once
Views. Yeah. Yeah.
then yempe
Yeah.
education
Yeah.
e ba di sua ti apade kekeke da we ye po the secret ni yi na ebe ma obi ya we no obi mpe anyway yes the betimi ya no ye ba entertainment and ye da aba e ba ni serious and ye da aba
Yeah, yeah, but that's it.
so the me start dey different but all the same yen call question now o kan on the screen from Facebook Samuel Usubuate.
Okay, I see I'm a British citizen and want to apply for a spouse visa for my wife from Ghana. I don't have enough chats though. All right, a person just say a person need ni yiri eba from her or from her a person ni biri ever back, but chat no be brain communication be brain. I would encourage you to engage in it a lot more. Ɛho hia paa because ɛyɛ a nansɛ mekan sɛ nansɛ yɛ na they don't interview ɛyɛ a na ɔmo nyɛ interview nti nneɛma na wodi kɔ akɔto ɔmo anim no ɛno nso na ɔmo hwɛ na ɔmo de ayɛ decision ɛnti sɛ chat ne nyɛ bebree a mɛsrɛ wo ara bɔ mmɔden na yɛ more from now till time a wodi ɔbaa no application bɛto mu no make sure sɛ you do a lot of chats. The chats can be in the morning, it can be through the whole day, morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever time. It should be a lot. And it should be back and forth. And yes, sir, one I will send a message, or no, and reply. So back and forth, you can do that. You can build it. You can build your chat life. You can build your conversation solid. Now, and also, everyone. Now, and yeah, no, money transfer, so eka, better meet and also the account. And idea, birthday cards, greeting cards, Valentine cards, all these things, you can build all of these things to support your application. And idea, we are door to door. Yeah, door to door. Waiting this with me account for sampa. Would you send your So yes, you can add all of these things up to support the fact that you are in a genuine relationship. Abigail Edu Amuaba. I'm in Italy. How can I relocate to the UK to study because it's really hard to learn with the Italian language. So I want to relocate to the UK, to an English speaking country. It's hard to learn with the Italian language, so you want to come to an English speaking country. Get a university. Go online, contact the universities, apply, let them grant you or let them give you admission, pay your fees, come to UK to study in the UK. When you finish studying, you get 2 years postgraduate visa. You get 2 years postgraduate visa to work in the UK. During that 2 years, anything can happen. You may get a sponsor who is impressed with your level of intelligence or performance. They can switch you to the tier 2 route. After that, you get your indefinite leave, subsequently leading to your British citizenship. So, yes, you can come to study in the UK. The starting point is start with the universities. I'm sure you will find one. Miss Yabua, do you mean with an Emirates card or ID, there is no need for you to go for a visa as a Ghanaian with Ghana passport? I didn't say that. I'm saying that if you have stay in the U in the whatever it's called, is it Emirates? You have the I think it's Dubai, yeah? The United Arab Emirates. You are there legally. You can apply to come to the UK either as a visitor or as a student or as a spouse or as a tier worker. You can apply. You need to make an application before you can come. You need to get a visa, entry clearance before you can come. You can't just use your Ghana passport and the ID card to come to the UK. It does not work that way. Please.
Good evening. Me send a chat, but I'm say lawyer, my statement no one tear say papa. Maybe a man any year man tear. Now me say just say me EU citizen. But see, me wo Italy see ya. Na me say nka bet na me call UK. Sa na kwan ben so na me fa na say bia obi obetuma guidelines ama me because me medical aba visit. But visit na me buy no. Say me nim kwan me fa so metima I stay e UK nti no. Say bia kwan me fa so menya sponsorship no. Ko betumi abo me a. Be me de question na me pese bisa no.
Okay, lawyer.
Yes. I say, or you EU national, and
Yeah.
we are EU national. So one back, I'm be register, and I will need a pre-settled status before you EU no more. That is up to the deadline was on the 30th of June, 2021. So I'm a year registration and you pre-settled status now. And then yeah, so person work from her, either whoever as a student, another page from her. You have to go online to look for one. Go onto the Home Office site and look for the list of registered sponsors. Omuna ambetumi aboa. And now say when employer bi wo krom ha, wo busuani bi wo krom ha, a onim employer a license, a genuinely we na communicate. No see edwuma obetumi ayɛ no bi pɛ a, ɛno nso betumi the application na de aba. Ɔsɛ ɔba ha as a visitor. Wobetumi asan ba biom as a visitor. Na wo ne employers na kasa. Wonya employment ne wie a, wobɛkɔ Mama we issue certificate now. Now their application. Their background. Sana.
Okay. Wait, the next question will be Facebook. Or one typing in your phone. Me drop it first, so I'm gonna continue.
I am Joe. I'm in the UK right now. I came here with a student visa. On my paper, okay, that question is not complete. On my paper, they state I am on the 10-year route to settlement. If I continue to meet the requirements and make appropriate applications for further leave to remain, please explain to me. What it means is that, hey, dear, what worry, and now Oba, no, a British citizen, and now Ubano, for 2.5 years, and the amount based on your human rights, family life, articulates, and now based on Ubana, we are British, how you have contact with the child, so you got your stay through that child. It also means that time now we application no, if you are now near sitna until you want to 10-year route no so. If you wait 2.5 years, 2.5 years, 2.5 years, 2.5 years, a total of 10 years, and some now when you are indefinite. However, there are some circumstances under which you can switch. Instead of doing the 10 years, over 5 years, over 2.5 years, and another 2.5 years when you're indefinite after the 5 years. So it means once it's signed, if you don't switch, you remain on the 10-year route. But if you switch to the 5-year route, you only do 5 years, not the 10 years. It is possible to switch depending on your individual circumstance. But you can speak to us. Also, UK has, so you can speak to us, and I'm sure we'll be able to assist him to get to the 5 years rather than the 10 years route.
All right. Lawyer. You better see your time as soon. I think so. Ubia or joining a nebia no. Why okay? Ubia okay. Inti. You better must say na you call Facebook. It's one much on Facebook. No mumra YouTube why? Na YouTube na action in war. Yeah, channel no the SBTV Africa. YouTube na action in war. Inti Fridays be a lawyer waha. 5:30 or waha. And then many lawyer AK Pokusu UK. Many Mr. Waddy, Mr. Woody or no, Mr. Steve, Canada. Next Friday, Germany way. May the Aisha Soba immigration for no. Next week. Or it's all about Friday be 4 p.m. Me we na my UK. This year home we switch countries no. This year aka country ka kwa mbeza me kopa and me nya obia o. Me pe North Korea. Me obia. We started daily also worldwide. The business we see people who are North Korea.
Who for trouble?
North Korea, Afghanistan. Me pe Ghana for But all the same, no. As time goes on, it's all fun. As time goes on, I mean, say, the other ones, the other European countries, other places, and in the SBTV Africa, there, at the Suyan team, say, ọmụ mpesa musua de na ọmụ pe bibi in life na ọmụ no mutie ọmụ o de ne yanye we ne yanye we no me de me ha de o yes a onya me wa yanye nkofo wa ai e fedi we ti me bo nkofo through our foundation e ti am for story sad story e ti bi we a e say to be support you and na ye but e woman de me wo mu say woman na me won say me want to be here na me be say questions then they are part of me but aside that no there Max, welcome on board. My time as well. I think you're signing out. Muslim try and get a lawyer from Sweden. Sir, okay, I'll do research and see. Lawyer, sir, who are friends will bring across the world, my boy?
I have a few friends. So
Sweden, yeah,
we're in Italy.
Also Sweden.
Sweden. I have a cousin there. I'll speak to him. We may be able to use his lawyer if he's so I got an inquiry and he understands. So I'll see if I can make that contact here.
Okay, then you guys don't worry. We will do some small research and bring others, more people, to find a Finland and all those Norway and all those people. We'll get them. Anyway, thank you so much, lawyer. Your last message. Then we sign out. I'm done.
Thank you very much, DJ, and thanks to all the listeners. We are very grateful. We are here to teach, to educate ourselves. DJ Kayano, we are here to educate ourselves. There is so much you can learn from all across the world, from the programs he puts across, from the US, from Canada, from all across the place. So, yes, if you really want to learn, if you really want to learn, this is the spot that you have to get it. Thank you. I've looked at how to regularize your stay if your visa or your relationship breaks down. I've looked at domestic violence. I've looked at student route. I've looked at the tier route. I've looked at the EU nationals too. I've looked at the parent route. I've looked at partner route as well. So these are the ways that you can regularize your stay. Man, trying so the DSC, that's a relationship ne break here. Man, trying will visa no, and I will leave it puts you in a very difficult situation. Very difficult situation. So act quickly. If you want to speak to us, we are more than happy. Your contact details no 0208 0165 384. Any office number now 0208 0165 384. So from outside the UK, it is +44 2080 165 384. And the mobile number here from outside the UK is +44 7931 411 042. If you are in the UK, it is 079 31 411 042. Feel free. Call
Mama location why? Dawson Market
Your Dalston Junction. Wiseman Solicitors, number 8 to 9, The Print House, 18 to 22 Ashwin Street, Dalston, London, E83DL. Your Dalston Junction, Hona. We are between the Dalston Kingsland Station and then the Dalston Junction train station. You were behind the McDonald's. Your bank market, no, by your need market, no. We are close to the market, not in the market, but close to the market. So,
okay.
Udu market hona, na uhia yenga, ko baby aye friend I say money matters. Udu money matters akazope, lawyer wisdom, and a wise man solicitors, or the contact number, because we are just very close to them. Market going na ubisaya here. Any market home na so ubisaya here. I'll make sure they will give you direction to come.
Big shout out to Money Matters about man interview.
Are we an interview?
Oh, Money Matters. Hey, we an interview. Money Matters.
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Money Matters. And me wo hey, me interview so but Okay, you better there, be. Anyway, Madam, I say, Dina Dumat, Madam you are blessed today. Thank you so much. Muamuja, mon numbers near there, or wise smart, solid says, someone drop on number on Facebook. But the numbers no screen, so nobody to me, I get in touch with them anytime. I'm more address in Libya. You're from DJ Nyame, Madam Production Team, DJ Click Sharon, and Atina. Subscribe to your channel now. Bibiana, money notification, what my drink trabani idea. Yeah, the Makaja say, open to open so by me show the swap. My number is 0244790902 and 0240677898. Ushamo Proma, I said 2. No, my just 2. I'm also supporting SVTV Africa Foundation. 2. Peace out, Macram Meko. Meko away.
The only boss with one S. Happy new month to all of you. Welcome to a month of new possibilities. Oh, do you know why life has been made so easy? It's because of Tap Send. People, Tap Send is here to make your life easy if you want to transfer money to Ghana, if you want to transfer from USA, if you want to transfer from UK, Europe, Canada, a lot of places all to Ghana. And guess what? When it comes to Ghana, there's no e-levy charge. So, what are you waiting for? Download Tap Send on Google Play Store and App Store and be ready for exciting offers coming your way each time, every time on Tap Send.
Tap Send. Send more, spend less.